Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Monday, March 9th. Time for some industry insights. I've got my co-host with me here, Brent Hutto. Brent, good morning.
Well, good morning, KR. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Trying to join in the video part of it.
All right.
For the invitation here. And do you send that out?
All right. I see we're also being joined today by Sean Smith from Truckstop. He's the VP of FinTech. FinTech, is that like electronic fish? What is FinTech?
I think FinTech is factoring. That's a Silicon Valley way of saying in trucking saying factoring.
Got it.
So I think that's
Sean
is from when we acquired Denim. That was when Truckstop acquired Denim. Sean was on that side. Yeah, for sure.
Got it. So anymore there's always new words. I'm assuming that's like financial technology. Is that what that is supposed to be?
That's exactly what it is.
Financial technology.
Abbreviate everything,
okay,
for sure.
Like banking apps and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's you think the whole world is gone with abbreviated names, and it's like when what was like the word autistic is not autistic, they call it tistic because I'm a little tistic now, and just so you know, that's always a fun thing. Here we go. They're coming in hot. Here we go, right there. There you go.
This is all because of texting, isn't it? Texting is what created all this weird language shortening of everything. That's my theory.
Yeah. 140 characters. Yeah,
that's my theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about texting.
Yeah, for sure. So, but FinTech is, and I didn't know what it was either when we were first doing our stuff, and obviously, Truckstop had a factoring company. So I go, oh, you're talking about factoring? Yeah, FinTech, and I'm going. Okay, sure. FinTech. That sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah, whatever you say. Yeah. All right. Well, we should probably just bring Sean in and get started, huh? Sean, good morning.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. Your first job is educating us all on FinTech. I guess it's not electronic fish.
It's too bad I'm not in sunny Silicon Valley. I'm covered in snow in Massachusetts. But they gave us a cool name like FinTech to make us feel good. So it's all is well.
Got it. So we are talking about like financial technologies. Is that correct?
That's right. So payments, factoring, cards, insurance, all things finance and technology put together.
Got it. Just so you know, Sean, had you shown up on my show about 10 years ago, it would have been a very different experience.
I don't think FinTech existed 10 years ago. For your benefit. Kevin, it's a little new, so it's not too bad.
You're correct, but factoring did exist, and I was very, very anti-factoring for years. Like, I pounded on this because factoring honestly sucked bad. It was just such a horrible deal for so long. And I would tell people, look, two problems here. If you're a really small company and you've got a factor, you've already got a problem. I mean, you're at risk, and we have to add to our costs. So that's a problem, but you can't afford these kind of rates. There was a time when factoring was 4% and 5%, sometimes more. That works out to, if it's 5%, that's 60% interest annually. And you can't imagine how many arguments I got into people about this. They would say, what, are you an idiot? What, you can't do math? 5% is 5%. No, it's not. Not when you're talking about financing things, and you have to understand the time value of money. So I taught people for years, if you have to factor, we got a problem, we got to fix that. But while you need to factor, we need better ways. I would help people with home equity loans, credit cards. There were much better ways. Well, that's all changed. That's why you're on my show today. Not only has the factoring itself changed and become a pretty darn good deal if you have to factor, but we're in a situation right now where I'm actually recommending factoring, even if you don't think you need to, even if you have the cash. And here's why. We are in such a volatile market right now, and the brokers are getting hammered. They're getting squeezed from every direction, and they're struggling. And the last thing you want to do is have a broker go out when they owe you $10 or $15 or $20,000. It may be a better time to just factor some of the stuff you're not sure about.
Totally agree. And I'll tell you what, when I was 18 years old and I got my first credit card in the mail, I think the interest rate that I got was still 40%. So the 60%.
Yes, that is true.
Crazy. And I had nobody, Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say factoring has changed a lot. You're 100% right about that. My mother was a dispatcher for ArcBest for 35 years.
Wow.
And when I took this job at Denim, and I was telling, because I was not in trucking before this, I took this role at Denim and I was telling them about the business, and she was like, Sean, factoring's been around for a long time. It's like, yes, I know that, Mom. I am aware of that. Thank you. But it's a lot different. We're going to make factoring not suck. That's the goal, right? And make factoring actually great.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say. I don't know if I'll go so far to say it's great. I'll go to say it is now a very useful tool in the right situation.
If I can get you to bend on that, Kevin, I will take it to the bank and skip home, and I will be totally fine with it.
Yes.
I mean, in the real world, right? Like, if you could imagine, what is a factor who's great? It's somebody who is arm in arm with you on risk, somebody that takes work off your plate and doesn't add it, somebody that advocates for you in the industry and in the market, somebody that can help you get paid and get freight, like all those things that you want in a blank piece of paper of somebody that helps you with financing are things that we're working on every day.
Yes, and that is what changed my mind. Brent came to me one day and said, "Hey, we need to talk about factoring and Truckstop's getting into factor." And I said, "Brent, come on, how many times have you heard me talk about this?" And he said, "No, you got to see how this works now." Yeah, and it is a massive change from the way factoring used to work in trucking. And here's the other thing people should understand. Factoring is not just trucking. Factoring is across the board in business. There's all kinds of different arrangements.
That's right.
Factoring invoices happens in just about every business. The problem was, like I said, the terms were just awful, and there were better ways of doing it. But this, what do you think changed this industry more? Was it competition or technology or both? Because the competition in factoring exploded, and it exploded because the margins were so darn good. That's just what happens when a business can get those kind of rates. So the competition, I've watched it over the years, has driven this to a better place. But it almost feels like maybe it was a lot of technology that helped make all this better.
I think factoring went through the same transformation life cycle that every industry has gone through. First, it was everybody in a room sitting together, and then it's, oh, maybe we can offshore this, and like, oh, now that we offshore, maybe we can put some screens in front of it and make it user friendly, and like, oh, now that we have screens in front of it, maybe we can automate some parts of those processes. Right? It went through the same sort of life cycle. I think there's a Innovator's Dilemma book on this that kind of tells a little bit of the story. Every industry except banking, but we're working on it in that department as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot different, and I think we got a lot of help from the tech companies out there that are making B2B technology experiences suck less, right? And it sort of inspires us in our space to make factoring, which is traditionally a pretty crappy experience. You send it to a voiceless email inbox, you call a phone number, you get a different person every time, right? Make it feel a little bit more friendly and a little bit more familiar.
Excellent. So let's get into some details of the factoring itself. What's a good rate in factoring today?
If you are a large fleet or a brokerage, we do broker factoring too for their shippers. And if you're moving a decent amount of money, you could expect 1.5,
Wow.
1.25, right? Like that's, I mean, you're rivaling the prime rate today.
Absolutely.
You're pretty close.
Yeah.
If you are newly minted, fresh off the street, ready to go, you're probably closer to 3, maybe 3.5 on a bad day, right? Is probably what I would expect to carve out. Just because you're right, we're losing money on you probably, right? Based on your volume, based on your risk.
Right.
We're taking a bet that you're going to come back every week, and then maybe we'll make some money on you eventually. But yeah, probably between as low as 1.25, as high as 3.5 is how I would think about it.
Interesting. Okay. In
Truckstop. Hey, Kevin, just real quick.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. Number one, again, Hal Shetter said he couldn't hear me very well, so maybe I'll try to talk a little clearer and slower. But one thing is for Sean, for you to talk about the rate, the top rate being maybe 3.5% or something. That's actually lower than it's historically than it's ever been. Because I know that when Truckstop started, Kevin, when Truckstop started, 4% non-recourse, 4% was the best in the market because Truckstop offered. I mean, it was DNS factors, which is Doug Scott factors. Yeah, so it could be 3.5, Sean. That's even more competitive. Is it lower because there's more competition in the marketplace, or there's more people factoring, or both?
I think there's a little bit of a hangover from the zero interest rate period of 6 years ago. So there's a little bit of that in play when money was free, you guys, we did kind of whatever we wanted, but now we got to pay for it. But so there's some of that, but I think people are realizing that, maybe factoring can actually be good, right? To your point, Kevin, like factoring wasn't always good. Like maybe it could actually be good.
Yeah, two things. Well, a lot of things have changed. We could talk about them all. Two things that really kind of flipped the switch for me on this. One is that rate. I mean, the rate just used to be too high. There were other ways to go get money cheaper, and that, my point is always the bottom line. So, but the other big one was it was traditional that if you factored, you had to factor everything. And for a small company, that doesn't make sense. Our model is we teach people build a really good relationship with a couple of good brokers, work with them consistently, or possibly a shipper. Sometimes that even works. And then fill in with freight from the load board. Well, if I'm filling in with freight from the load board, that's the stuff I'm going to factor. Because I'm just not sure who I'm dealing with or what, I can check their credit score. That's all fine. Sure. But we're in such a volatile time, and we know brokers are getting squeezed right now. But I don't want to have to factor my best customers. And that never used to be an option. You had to, it was all or nothing. Right. And now the ability to pick and choose, that to me makes it a tool. Makes it a tool that I can now use when it makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. And so we have two models, Kevin, maybe to this that I think you find interesting. And I know, Brent, you're aware of this too, but we also offer basically like a pass-through mechanism for you. So like we'll run the invoicing for you, we'll chase collections for you. Maybe you factor it, maybe you don't, but your money's all coming from the same place, and we're going to go to bat for you in either way. So just help people get a sense of process, right, and routine. And then the other option, and we offer this for those on the recourse side of the house, is we'll offer you a floating rate. So if let's say you factor your invoice today, but maybe you want to get paid in 2 weeks, we'll cut your rate in half effectively because you're only using the money for half the time. Right. So that 1.25 or 1.5 goes down to 75 bips for a 2-week period. You're starting to feel it, right? Where it's like, maybe this isn't really as much of a burden as it used to be.
Oh, absolutely. Like I say, it feels like it's gone from being a burden to being a tool that I can pick and choose, and now it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see, Brent? What's out in the? You have a much broader view of the market than I do.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I see a lot of what you had talked about previously, which is the marketplace is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more digitally focused. And what I mean by that is just there's more systems that help, whether you're a one truck owner operator or 20,000 trucks. There's more systems that are helping you run your business, and when you've got flexibility in those systems, then it can be a benefit to you. I like your point about, and Kevin's point about, like, okay, there's some of my business I might want to factor for a couple of reasons. Number one, I have less risk. If it's somebody that I don't know or I don't trust as much, then I might want to factor that to ensure that I'm going to get paid. Kevin and I talked at length about this, and this is really one of the reasons, Sean, that Kevin changed his mind in the market about factoring, and others have changed their mind, is that when you consider the current cargo security marketplace or fraud marketplace, this helps off or de-risk the fraud in the market by factoring something. So that's another advantage that you have in the market. So what I see is I see things changing. The thing that always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, Sean, same thing that rubbed Kevin the wrong way, which was that, man, I got to factor everything, and I'm in a contract that I can't get out of. I have to, like, pay you to get out of, like it's some type of a lease on an apartment or something. So to me, it's about flexibility and being able to properly run your business where you need to run it. And if it's a cash flow issue and you need to factor the next 3 or 4 or 5 of them because you need better cash flow at this period, I want the option to be able to do that, but I don't want to have to do all of them. So to me, the marketplace continues to change because the customers are demanding it. And where there's optionality, the customer's voice is the strongest.
Kevin, I'll tell you what I still see, which I know was a relic of the past that still exists, is some of these crazy lock-in contractual agreements, the factoring contracts that are 10 miles long. That was a nice thing, Brent, of the DNS business, is they had a very pro-carrier agreement that we've adopted since and love. Makes you feel good. Doesn't make you feel good when you're doing it in the knife. It's just you want to buy out this factory? Yeah, no problem. That'd be $85 million in your left arm, and it'll be totally fine. It'll be all
and your left arm. You'll be a one-arm truck driver.
Yeah, that
stuff is definitely still out there.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. It's great to have a good tool like this now. So. Thank you for joining us today. Why don't you give somebody a rundown if they don't know anything about your factoring program at all? Just how would somebody get started? Give us the kind of Reader's Digest version of how it all works.
Yeah. So if you're a carrier, owner, operator, fleet, freight broker, anybody in between, if you head to Truckstop, you can get in touch with somebody on our team. Takes you about 48 hours to get through sort of some basic underwriting. We want to make sure that you aren't owing anybody else money before we start to take over invoices on your behalf. So there's some checks we need to do there. But then after you're in the front door, we're going to try and get you to do as much yourself as you want, as fast as you want. That you can handle, like the days are over where you need to mail your factoring company your bill of lading when you deliver an invoice and then call them on the phone, So use the technology, use the product, give us a call if you have a question and we'll help you walk through it. But as you submit your invoices, you can pick when you want to get paid. We'll give you your fee, we'll do the math for you, and then we'll go and chase your receivables on your behalf. And if you have bad luck and a broker of yours goes under, Lord knows we've seen a few of them of late, cough, we'll take the loss for you and we'll eat it just as a nature of us doing business together. And you pay for that insurance basically with your factoring fee.
So if I'm in a position right now where I have not been factoring, but I am worried about all of the volatility. I'm worried about those random loads I take off the load board with the new broker. Is this something I can set up and then have it ready for when I need it?
Yeah, you can definitely go through underwriting and sort of hang out. I think we would recommend at least once a month throwing an invoice through to keep your account active,
okay.
And to make sure that you're still in the game with us and we know that you're still around. Otherwise, we might forget about you. So yeah, throw in one a month. And yeah, use the load board. Like we've got a lot of really cool stuff coming out with the Truckstop team when it comes to highlighting our factoring clients in Freight Match, so that if a broker is on the load board and they factor, and you're a carrier and you're on the load board and you factor, like some of these arrangements become silly not to allow us to take the risk on your behalf, right? Because the cost is so low, the value is so high. And so, yeah, put yourself in the best position to win, and we'll be there for you.
Outstanding. All right. Brent, anything else we want to cover on factoring today?
Well, I think you talked about, Sean, a couple of the new things you're thinking about. You're thinking about with bringing in Denim as part of the Truckstop platform. What's like the next step generation thing for factoring out there that is would help the one truck owner operator? Because that's really our audience, a one truck, two truck owner operator here on Let's Truck. What really you see it from a nuts and bolts standpoint much closer than I do or Kevin does. What's next, man?
The things that we're excited about is giving you your sort of carrier in a box experience, especially when it comes to your, I'm not going to say FinTech, but especially when it comes to the financial products that you need, right? So like I'm sure there's an owner operator that's probably listening out there that's like, oh shit, I forgot to pay my insurance. Now I got this whole mess because my policy's expired and I got to go back to people. I got to get leased, right? Like we would love to help maintain that for you, right? Like we would love to help. We would love to help you pay drivers if they're 1099s, right? We would love to help manage your AR, even if you're not deciding to factor it. So we can help you get reporting. We can help you do accounting. We can help you with the bookkeeper. So those are the sorts of things that get me really excited about, what the next couple of years brings for the factoring business for Truckstop.
Right. That's exciting, man. Super cool. Super cool, man.
All right.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
All right. Great to have you today.
Glad you're on.
And have a great day.
All right.
All right. Take care.
All right, Sean. See you, brother. Bye.
All right. Brent, what's on your mind today?
Well, what's on my mind is a marketplace that seems to be making a freaking rebound. Good for the industry. So that's what's been on my mind. I'm like, okay, we're working on, and we and I've been talking about this all of last year about the market was just kind of very slowly and sequentially lifting from a rate standpoint. What is it, cost per load? And so, we had a little situation called Epic Fury that happened a few days ago in our country, and that was another thing that obviously there's question marks out there, and what's that going to do for our economy? Certainly, oil has increased tremendously. I don't know if you maybe I didn't send that to you. I need to send this to you. So Noel Perry wrote a letter about what does war with Iran mean for trucking, and immediately it's energy pricing, and so for the fuel cost. Did you get a copy of that?
I did. I read that, and it's kind of interesting today because that's what the topic is obviously going to be about. Remember, I think it was last week or the week before, and I've been talking about this a lot on all my shows. The idea of mindset being the one real differentiator.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
I have a guy who I'm helping in my coaching program right now. He admits he knows nothing about trucking, zero. And he bought a truck. So now I've got him in coaching and I'm helping him. He got one
Yeah.
of the worst offers I've ever seen in my life to lease his truck on. And I'm so glad
Oh, my.
he was ready to sign this deal. And here's how bad it is. This is the first time I've seen this, but I guess this isn't unheard of. I had just never heard of it. He is leasing a truck onto a company. I'll just say that right now because that's up in the air as to what we're even talking about here. But first step, before you can be onboarded, you have to write them a $1,500 non-refundable check. Have you ever heard of such a thing to lease it?
What's the $1,500 for?
Just because. Just I guess for the privilege of doing business with us. I have never seen anything like that in my life.
Wow.
And it clearly says non-refundable and nothing will be processed till they have that money.
So this is kind of like when I moved my mother into the memory care facility at the assisted living place. They said it's going to be this much a month, and after I got up off the floor because I passed out because it's so expensive, they said, "Well, Mr. Hutto, to guarantee your mother's apartment here, we need you to give us a $1,000 check that has nothing to do with your lease. It's just the entry. It's the entry fee." And I was like, "You, why? What's it holding?" I'm like, "Well, finally a contract. She's moving next month. That's just our fee."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Fee for what?" And so honestly, KR, this sort of thing of like, you pay me something just so you can play is pretty common in our world today. I mean, you go all over the place, and there's these little fees that you have to pay just to become a member of something.
That's an interesting angle, but let's think about that in this context. So when you're talking about memory care centers to put your mom, how many choices do you have realistically?
You're lucky if you have two in the city.
Yeah.
Well, in the city, I live in a smaller city. Bigger cities, you might have 5 or 6.
Yeah. Very, very limited. Now, let's look at the
Right,
owner-operator world, leasing trucks to carriers. How many options do I have?
There's a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
A lot
Tens of thousands, if not more. And traditionally, in my entire time in this industry, it's the opposite. The carriers are begging for trucks and owner operators, and they typically pay sign-on bonuses, not charge you to lease on. This was so backwards in my head that I couldn't even fathom it in the beginning. But it gets worse.
Oh, I didn't think about your sign-on bonus principle. Yeah, it is the opposite. This
correct.
Is crazy.
Correct. They pay you to come to work. They give you a bonus up front. Because they traditionally in this industry, we have huge turnover. You can call it a shortage or turnover, whatever you want. I hate that whole argument. But that's the reality, is that carriers always wanted more trucks. And as the owner-operator, you had all the choice. You'd go wherever you want. So the idea that they're going to charge somebody to sign on completely non-refundable, once you write them that check, you're never getting it back. It gets worse. The entire process of signing on is one form online. So I went through the form. It's kind of interesting because their contract is also in this form. And this goes back, I thought we were in the 1980s again. The contract's about 3 pages. That was it. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Not that I like it, but at least it wasn't 37 pages I had to get through. But here's the thing. I went through the form. You are signing a contract to lease on to somebody. It says that right at the top. After they get your name and personal information, the next 2 lines, you fill out your DOT and MC number. Well, why would that even be there? I'm signing on to you. I don't have my authority. That's the point here.
Right.
Is this a way to.
Is your guy you're coaching? Is this a scam?
Oh, I believe it's absolutely a scam. It's either an outright scam or it is the worst deal I've ever seen. It could be either one. But why would you put those fields in for MC and DOT number? And if somebody fills them out, is this just, I've got all your information and now I have your numbers and I'll just go move some freight under your authority?
Yeah. This sounds like a scam.
Yeah.
Sounds like a scam.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like
then the percentages are horrible. In their contract, it's you get 85% to move the freight. They get 15%, and basically all they're providing is the authority. They're not really doing much of anything else. And on top of that, you as the owner-operator will be responsible for liability and cargo. They'll charge it back to you, but they don't tell you at what rate. Now, 99.9% of the carriers out there that lease owner-operators cover the liability and the cargo. That's the norm. Not in this deal. You're paying them 15%, and then you're going to be charged for liability and cargo, but I can't find the rate anywhere.
Kevin, this sounds like you said, it's either the worst deal offer ever, or this sounds like a ruse, just to go pay them $1,500 and you never see them again.
So one more, it got worse. They put their MC number and DOT number on the form, except the company has an address in Ohio, it has an address in Tampa, and there's an address in Texas. And there's two different companies named. One of them is it actually says dispatch company. That's who you're signing with right now. But it also says lease-on to us, powered by Sean Hall, which is another trucking company in Texas. But the DOT and MC number they used on this form, they don't even exist. I've looked everywhere. I can't find them.
Again, it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck.
Yeah.
Probably a duck. And so this sounds like a scam. It sounds like somebody trying to get information. You're going to pay them.
Yeah.
You're going to pay them to defraud you.
Yes, that's what it sounds like. So luckily.
Do you have, and this honestly, KR, these should be reported.
Oh,
there ought to be, there should be a place. Yeah, there's got to be a way to report this.
I started working that. I actually asked, Danielle,
right.
What's her last name?
Oh yeah, for sure. I know.
Yeah,
I saw her at the ETA show.
Yeah, she is all over the freight fraud stuff. I mean, it is her entire life. I'm not even sure if she sleeps anymore.
Yeah.
I sent it to her and said, can you just do a little digging and see if you can clarify any of this? Who's Sean Hall?
Can you send it to me?
Yes, I will.
Send it to me because I'm going to send it to the assurance department at Truckstop and get them to run some traps on it to see if we can smoke this one out, if it's legit or not. Yeah. So and I'll copy you. When you send it to me, I'll copy you privately on who it's going to.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Now I want to get back to mindset. So
yeah.
I've talked about this mindset issue, and this is the guy, by the way, who I'm helping here, who admits right up front he's clueless. He needs all the help he can get. But what convinced me, and I had to open up a spot in the coaching program. We had shut the coaching program down.
Right.
When I heard his story, I had to decide, this guy really needs help. So I opened up a spot. I let him in. It was one sentence that convinced me to do it. Because at first I thought, boy, this guy's he needs a lot of help. He's in a bad situation already. But he said, I said, you're going to have to do something. I don't remember exactly. And he said, look, I will eat as much shit as I have to eat to make this work. I am not going to fail.
Wow.
And
I like this tenacity.
That's the mindset that I can work with. I don't care about your experience. I don't care about your knowledge. We can fix all that. What I've never been able to fix in somebody that I know of is mindset. I don't know how to change it.
It's impossible.
Yeah, I don't know how to.
Well, that's like changing someone's. That's like changing some. It's like changing someone's heart.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about like people, you got that. I'll take a worst case scenario. And this is for anybody listening to this. Worst case scenario, and people that are multi-decade drug addicts, until they have made their mind up, they don't want to be a drug addict anymore. They have no chance of recovery.
Right. Good point.
Just because it doesn't matter if you go to rehab. Rehab has a terrible success rate.
Yes, it does.
I know a lot of this. I know for those of you that know me personally, you know that I went through this. Okay, so not me personally. I didn't go through it myself, but I had a family member that went through this. So, but when someone makes their mind up, they want to do something. They want to be healthy. They want to be an owner-operator, and their mindset is right. There's nothing that can stop them. And this is why, to your point, KR, about these are the people you like to work with. Because when someone's mindset is right, we human beings are hard to stop.
I agree.
Right. Now, we want to make sure it's focused on the right thing.
Sure.
But still, the commitment is incredible in someone's mind.
You know, and that's a good point, that we want to make sure they're focused on the right thing, which is why I will take somebody with zero experience in the right mindset every time.
Right.
Because here's somebody who is so determined to make this work, and he was about to make two huge mistakes because of a lack of knowledge.
Right.
Not because he was dumb.
Right.
Ignorant might be the right word, and he'll admit that. He doesn't know anything about trucking.
Well, ignorance is not stupidity.
Correct.
Ignorance is you just don't know.
It's just a lack of knowledge. I am ignorant about a million things. I just try not to be ignorant about things that really matter in my life. So,
that's right.
Yeah, if it's something important, I don't want to be ignorant anymore. If it's butterflies, well, I'm ignorant. I don't know one butterfly from another. There's a million things I'm ignorant about. If I want to learn something, I can.
Right.
So I would much, much rather work with that mindset, because it doesn't matter how ignorant he is. I can teach him. That works every time. People can learn knowledge like that. Like changing somebody's mindset's next to impossible. Teaching somebody's pretty easy.
Right.
And when they have the right mindset, then teaching them is really easy, because they want to learn.
Yeah.
And that's where he is. He wants to learn. Now, so the mentality I talk about all the time is the entitlement mentality. I bought a truck, damn it. I deserve $4 a mile, or whatever they think that number should be. It's an entitlement that because they got into business, they are owed something. That's the mentality that you will either fail or you will struggle for a very long time. But I've identified a new mentality. And it's mostly been in this last week. And I've been posting some pretty let's say I've been poking the bear a lot with my social media posts.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah, I ramped it up even more this week. Here's the other mentality I've identified: the inability to understand what the reality of the situation is. This entitlement mentality also seems to include the idea that I don't have to deal with reality. I want it to be this way. And one of the things that we're seeing right now in the last several days is we went to war and fuel prices are going up. There is no way around it. Unless this war ends and we get back to normal, we are in for a pretty wild ride. I think oil crossed over $100 a barrel. And I've heard crazy predictions that it could get worse than we have ever seen. That is a possibility right now. But that is the reality. deal with the reality. Stop fighting like it somehow is somebody else's fault and it's some giant conspiracy. Oh, well, they're just now talking about the price of a barrel going up. Why did the price at the pump already go up? That's the reality, always has been. And there is an explanation,
Right.
whether you like it or not, because what those operators know is they have to refill their tanks at that new high price. The rack price goes up almost immediately, and they have to replace. So it's the reality. Whether you like it or not, this is what happens to fuel prices when we have a crisis like this. And what I hear is, well, I can't operate with this price. Oh, well, then you've got a problem. And that is the reality. I've been trying to get you to face that reality for decades. Your costs are out of control and you don't care. You tell me all the time, I don't care about fuel prices. I just get a better rate. I don't care what my fuel mileage is. I'll just charge more. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be the song and dance they're singing this week. Now it's everybody else's fault that fuel prices have gone up and they can't make it.
Yeah, that's well, I mean, it's a supply and demand marketplace. This comes back to what you and I talked about. Know what's coming at you because you have to deal with it. You don't have a choice. There's nobody that is fundamentally against you being successful. You just work in a very, very large marketplace that is a lot of it is out of your control. It's just out of your control. Now, by the way, that's just about any marketplace.
Sure, that's our
world. It doesn't matter whether you sell cell phones or transportation services. You know, I mean, do you think that AT&T, when they were just doing great in the marketplace, loved that T-Mobile came in as a competitor and gave them all kinds of headaches and heartburn and different offers to the marketplace, being super aggressive with pricing? And do you think they wanted them to? Do you think AT&T wanted to have to drop their prices on things? No, but you know what? Competition forced it. So, how do you deal with it?
That's
you have to figure out how to deal with it.
Reality. And the more time you spend and the more thought you put into fighting against reality, the more likely you are to fail because of it.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So part of it, it's just like you and I talked about over and over and over. Know your marketplace. Know the conditions of your marketplace. Know the conditions of things. There is nobody. There's not people sitting in rooms, and this includes brokers that are going, "Oh, how can I manipulate the market to hurt owner-operators?" They don't. They're just trying to run their business to make a profit too. So you do the same thing. You do the same thing. If you do it, you know how to play the game with them. If you know how to play the game with them, you end up with more wins than losses, which means you're profitable.
So let's talk about another example of this, because all I had to do to trigger everybody was mention the word, fuel prices going up, especially for the very small operator who I'm talking to. Fuel prices going up is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. It's a bonus program. Now, at some point, this puts a hurting on our economy. That is the one thing none of us want to see. We don't want to see fuel prices go so high that it starts to hurt the economy. This probably will. But let's hope this is short term.
Short term. Short term.
But there are people in the short term who will go out of business for this. They're that close to the edge, and that's what I've always tried to help people with. Don't be that vulnerable, because you can't control all of this stuff. Just don't be that vulnerable. Then I got the pushback. Well, we don't get a fuel surcharge in the spot market. Well, yes, you do. It's different. I get it. You do get it. It affects the fuel. I had people who should know better pushing back on me over this one. Oh, you're so out of touch. You don't realize what's happening in the market. They're not getting that fuel surcharge. Of course they are. Of course they are. It always affects the price. And then my answer is, wait a minute. If you're in the spot market, you know what the fuel price is today. You know what your costs are, and you should price your services accordingly. That's how this works. So if you see freight that doesn't look like it has enough for a fuel surcharge in there for you, then don't take it. But it's there. The freight rates will go up if nothing else happens. If only fuel prices go up, do freight rates go up with it? If nothing else changes in the world.
Yeah, well, they will a little bit. Yeah, like in the last 4 weeks, we've had freight costs go from 44 cents a gallon to 48 cents a gallon. That's 4 cents. It's meaningful. So yes, we've seen freight rates go up every single week. And I'll when we get to the industry data, I'll show you that the freight rates going up a little bit has that baked in is the price of oil or the price of fuel.
Yeah, you can look historically. We talk about this. I've seen it stated in reports. This is the freight increase price. Here's what fuel did to that price as well. Fuel prices can make freight rates go up and down. Now, it's not as direct as saying, I have a fuel surcharge in place on this load, like in contract freight. We know exactly what the fuel surcharge is. We know exactly when it becomes activated, when the price changes. That isn't necessarily the case in the spot market. I get that. Nobody's paying you a direct fuel surcharge, but you don't need one because you know the price. You know how to price this load today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, KR, I will say this, that I did talk to back in the day when I was blowing and going on Truckstop, I started calling brokers and going, do you figure out a fuel surcharge in your rates? And they go, well, no, we don't figure that out in the rates. And I'm like, well, that's just never been part of our. And I go, there is a fuel charge, right? Fuel surcharge. They go, oh yeah, we know it. So they know it when it comes to like them pricing with shippers, with customers.
Right.
So the thing is, they're just not offering it to the marketplace. That doesn't mean, to your point, everything is buyer beware, right? It doesn't help you to go, well, I didn't know. Well, you should know that there's a fuel surcharge in the marketplace. You can find it in a lot of different places. The average fuel efficiency is based on 6.5 miles a gallon. So your goal should be to get 7.5, 8.5, 9.5 a gallon, and it should be to negotiate the fuel surcharge on every single one of your pricing that you have to your customers, being whether it's a broker or a shipper. You should know this. If you know this, you're going to end up with quantifiably more per rate. There's no doubt.
And to go back to why it works the way it does, it is only necessary on contract freight, long-term contract freight.
Right.
If we didn't have the fuel surcharge, here's what would have to happen on contract freight. We'd have to renegotiate our rate every week, potentially.
Right.
Because and it goes both ways. If we signed this contract for a freight rate for a year when fuel was $5 a gallon, well, we had to price that into the contract. Well, next week, if it goes to $2.50 a gallon, the shipper's going to say, hey, wait a minute, I'm not paying that rate anymore. The fuel went down. We'd have to renegotiate. Then fuel goes back up the next week. We'd have to renegotiate our rate again. But instead, we have this beautiful system that works really well. We have a base rate on contract freight. I'll move it for $2 a mile plus fuel surcharge. And then the fuel surcharge calculates itself every week and we're done. We don't have to renegotiate constantly. But if I'm negotiating with you today, it would be ignorant to put a fuel surcharge in. Just doesn't make any sense. I know what I need to charge you today, and I'm at no risk. I'm not telling you I'll give you this price next week. Uh-oh. Hold on. How did Brent get me? Sorry, Brent. I was waiting for you to respond.
My fault. My fault. My phone for some reason must have had some type of the aliens must be taking over. So because my phone stopped working. But yeah, I mean it's one of those things where Lee, I think one of the smartest things every owner operator should do when they're working with their broker customers, and certainly with their shipper customers, because it's a market standard, is negotiate on the market standard, which is, hey, right now fuel is at 48 cents. The fuel surcharge is 48 cents. It was 44 cents. You should be giving me 4 cents more no matter what.
Yes.
Just off the top.
Yeah.
You should get that automatically. Then now let's negotiate market standards. Well, right now I'm one of 6 trucks in that market that are hauling freight out of that market. Last month there were 25 hauling out of that market. I'd like to negotiate a higher rate with you, please.
Yeah.
So just use the data that they're accessing too. I mean, that's the thing to do.
And Brent, when we talk about all these problems in the industry, the freight fraud, the non-payments, the fuel surcharge, I hate to keep saying I told you so. Actually, I don't. I'm kind of enjoying it. Finally, if you do what we've been saying for decades, if you build your business model that way, then most of these problems either just don't exist for you or they're minor.
Right.
If you have good relationships across the board, whether it's with brokers, shops, whatever, which is business is all about relationships, then these kind of problems get much smaller. When you don't have the relationships, these are the people that are screaming right now, and they're angry, and they are at a very high risk of going out of business, which makes them angrier. I get that. But some of the comments that I get when I post this, it's just awful. Why would you talk to another human being like that?
Good question. It always baffles me. Well, and I think it comes back a little bit like, I just want somebody else to be responsible for my problems.
Yeah.
It's just not. I go back to this, and I know sometimes it's hard to take the emotion out of it because you've invested a lot of money into a truck, you've invested a lot of money in your business, but in the end, it's not an emotional decision. You're moving a piece of freight, take the emotion out of it, negotiate, and then move on. Yep. You can't get what you want, move on. There's only hundreds of thousands of pieces of freight out there. So, only a few 100,000.
That's another topic. All right, I see we're getting close to the top. What's your time situation today? We've got a call on hold, and we got to get to it.
Well, okay, we are getting close. Yeah, let's take the call, and then I'll close with the injury. I have to leave. I got to drive up to Chattanooga today to go. We got some in-office stuff we're taking care of. So, let's take the call, and then let's use the last 3 or 4 minutes to talk about the marketplace.
Perfect. All right, let's go to Kentucky. Steve, good morning.
Hello, Kevin.
What's on your mind today? You're welcome.
Hey, I've been a long-time listener, and wanted you to look at my profit gauges, and I will check a little bit. I'll give you an explanation about it.
Did you send a report over?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
I'm in a little bit of a bind today. I can't really log into the account to go find your account while I'm trying to talk on the air. And normally we have Angie's or somebody screening that could have gone and gotten it. Let's try to work with what you've got and see if I can do it without looking at the report.
Sorry about that. I lost you for a second. I don't know what happened to the phone.
Hold on. Okay, Morgan says she's going to go get me the report. So let's do this. I'm going to put you back in the queue for a minute while we go get that report. I had another comment I was going to make. Brent, let's do the numbers then. Let's do the update right now.
Let's do the numbers. Well, I'm going to make it a visual for you real quick. Okay.
Right.
So let me make it a visual because this is always fun because I like for people to see it. All right. So here we are. All right. Let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
Great. All right, fantastic. Well, first, I chose the song "Stronger" by Kelly Clarkson as my theme this week because the marketplace keeps getting stronger, and I love that. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
That's right.
I will not sing this time because I know you'll make fun of me if I sing. So, but my point about this is that if you've gotten through the last 4 years of it being such a difficult time for all of us, and there's lots of reasons why it's been difficult, not just the marketplace, because the marketplace for actual freight volumes has not been bad, then you're definitely, you should be stronger. You should be stronger. And now here's the big three. This is what I look at every single week, Tribe. This is the three pieces of data that fuel me. So you got NDI continues. By the way, the NDI average is about 60. So it's double, almost triple that, right? So that means there's more pressure in the marketplace. That means there's more freight available than normal. And that's a really good thing, okay? Because the trucks kind of stay constant, right? But load postings were up 1.3% over last
Brent,
week. And last week was,
Let me just go back to that comment, because that's a little different right now. You are right. Typically, supply, the number of trucks, doesn't change radically short term, except we're in a weird situation right now where it is.
Yeah.
I just want people to remember that.
Here's the thing.
It's not a normal thing.
You're right.
It's all getting rid of the chameleon carriers, the non-domiciled CDLs, all that stuff is happening fast, and that is having an impact. And that's unusual to have that happen.
It is. Some of those trucks came into the independent contractor marketplace. Some of them came in the lease marketplace. Some of these drivers came into the standard company driver. So it's a mixture of the whole marketplace. We had about 700,000 new drivers come in over about a 3.5-year period. So the marketplace is 700,000. Yes, a giant amount. So look, and they're not all bad players.
Correct.
Some of them are very good truck drivers, but you're going to see a pretty good exit of several 100,000 will be exited, no doubt. Okay, now we'll change. That'll make rates go way up. Okay, so just watch the input, the basically enforcement of the regulations. All right, so you've got more pressure in the marketplace. Where there's more pressure, it's just take this to the bank. When you got higher NDI, you're going to be able to negotiate better. So you got high pressure in the higher pressure in the marketplace, negotiate to them. It's a good time. The actual marketplace is almost 40% above the 5-year average. So that's load posting volumes. That's sort of the byline of NDI, which is load posting about 40% above 5-year averages, which is fantastic. Look at rates, KR. Rates with fuel, they went up another 4 cents to 267. It was driven by flatbed, but the rates just continue to stay positive in the spot market. And then 267 is a very good number, because look over here to the right. 5-year average is 258.
Yeah.
267, 9 cents above. It's 9 cents above. So that's a really, really good thing.
Can we talk about something else that we should be aware of? The 5-year average still includes COVID rates, right?
Oh, it totally does.
Yes.
Totally does.
So
that's
the
biggest market ever.
It's actually a distorted 5-year average still.
It is. But I like to make sure I at least measure it.
Sure.
Marketplace to marketplace.
Absolutely. Right.
If I took it out, you can take that 5-year average and just put the number $2.20 in there.
Yeah. Yep.
So 220 to 267 is a pretty good delta.
Yeah. So,
yep. And 220 is going to be,
And what's next? Because these are the big three.
All right. So you've got the big three in here. So outbound tender reject index, and I'll roll you down to the actual visual on this, and I'll come back to this one. So here's the visual on it. So if you look at, okay, so we're right here, this little blue area. Okay, we're right here in this little blue area. And so the yellow line is last year. That's 2025. What the outbound tender rejects is. In other words, the contract freight that's getting rejected. So last year it was about 6.2, 6.3%. Here's where we are today.
That's honestly that number should be. Everybody who owns a truck right now should be really happy and paying attention to this. It worries me a little bit. This kind of volatility can be hard to predict what's coming next. So I'm just cautioning people: don't get overly excited about stuff like this and start plan on expanding by 5 trucks. It just sit back. I
wouldn't. I just enjoy the rate.
Right.
Enjoy the rate. Just negotiate hard. Start setting up relationships to move freight. If you can do this over the next 6 months, then maybe you go, okay, well, let me figure out how I can increase the size of my operation. But right now, it's a good rate marketplace. Go get the rate as much as you can. Now, the thing that always gets me is when I go down to look, this was 2024. That's the green line. This is 2023. So it shows you how the marketplace is beginning to recover. And that's a really, really good thing for everybody. So let me go back up to this now. Go back up to what, and I pulled this off of Sonar. This is a sort of the larger marketplace. This is Freightways' Sonar platform. I have access to it. I love it. First and foremost, they give you a little sign. Is it bearish or bullish? Bullish means they're more positive. It's going to be good. Bearish, of course, for those who don't know the Wall Street term, bearish means it's a little harder.
Yes.
Okay, so the point being is here's the big thing, and I pulled this key market drivers. Here is the big thing. Spot rates are running about 5% lower than contract rates. That's about the closest they've been in 3 years. Spot rate.
Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.